Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Part-Time Artist Podcast. This is episode 191. As 2024 is closing, this is going to be the last show for 2024. I can't believe it. Except that the 2024 radio show will be live on New Year's Eve. It will be live on New Year's Eve. I haven't come up with a time yet. Stay tuned. Follow Roger Stays Creative on Instagram for all podcast updates, all updates on everything. Yes, the radio show is going to be awesome. I got a really, really cool lineup of songs. Some of them artists that we've heard. Some of them have been friends. Some people brand new. So it's going to be a really cool thing, and it's going to be live on YouTube. So make sure, again, Roger Stays Creative on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube now, what up? Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you're subscribed. If not, take this opportunity now to subscribe to the channel. I'm only about 30 subscribers away from my goal for this year, which was to get to that halfway point to monetization. YouTube is my passion. If you're new to the YouTube channel, there's a whole bunch of content for creative people and artists alike. We're just here to be a better artist. That's what this podcast is all about. That's what I'm all about. What can we learn? How can we help one another to stay creative and to be a better artist and to be better people in general? That's almost all of the stuff I'm asking about and trying to get, and the stuff that I'm putting out in all of my content. Aside from that, the other thing that I've put out is my last EP and probably my last ever release for Knucklehead, which is a punk band that I started with friends from my middle school about 11 years ago, just over 10 years ago. And I just put out the last bit of music that I wrote for that project, and I am closing the doors on that project forever, I guess. I got a new band coming along, but those two EPs that I just put out, which you can find a link to, is going to be like in my link tree, which is in all of my platforms, from Facebook to YouTube to Instagram, whatever. It's going to be in the link that I have in my bio. And I put out two EPs, one called Uptown in Queens, and the other is Downtown in Brooklyn, that just released. And both of those are sort of my homage and farewell to the New York scenes that were so instrumental in bringing me up as a musician and as a songwriter, from the stuff that when I was hanging out with people in Queens and hanging out with people in Manhattan, and then also playing gigs downtown and the Lower East Side, and then also in Brooklyn. I was around so much music, so much punk, and I took influence from everybody there. So this is kind of me releasing back out, and also there's a lot of grieving in that. There's a lot of stuff where, I lost friends, I lost partners, like relationships, and people have passed away. So a lot of those EPs and like I have it as one album, but a lot of that has to do with like loss and also just moving on from New York, like in general. So it was a really transformative thing for me to put out that record. I had been sitting on that stuff for so long, half of it pretty much since I released The Dream in 2017. So it's been a long time coming, and it feels really good for it to be out there. So if you're looking for new punk tunes, you know, yeah, give that a click. Yeah. And also check out this show. All right, I have with me a very, very special guest from the super far away lands of Toronto. I have Brad from the alternative group Cold Weather Captains. Brad.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on the show, and it's just perfect timing here in December. You're here to captain the cold weather with us. It literally just started snowing here in Philadelphia, so we're all fully into the winter spirit. And on that note, I want to start this show off by asking you just a quick this or that. All right? Ready?
All right. Yep.
All right, so in the winter season, hot cider or hot chocolate?
Hot chocolate.
Wow. Okay. All right. Peppermint or mint chocolate candy?
What was the one before mint?
Mint chocolate or peppermint, like a candy cane?
Mint chocolate.
Mint chocolate. Okay. Ice skating or skiing?
That's a close one.
That is a close one.
I want to say ice skating. If it's like a sunny day, definitely ice skating. But if you can do it outside, I've been meaning to do that for a while with my girlfriend. I keep putting it off.
Hilarious. Now, lastly, this one is kind of like, it doesn't really matter what the time of year it is, but do you prefer the early morning or do you prefer the late night?
Ooh. So for journaling, I prefer the early morning. For writing more music stuff, late night.
Yeah, because that's something that it all gets compressed in the winter, right? Like the the timing of everything. The timing of everything gets shorter. Now, let's talk about your music a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Cold Weather Captains has been around for a few years. It's been around longer than it's been putting music out. It took us a few years to like put out like music formally, right? But you started out as this 3-piece instrumentalist, really like jam, prog, jazzy type, really cool stuff that like you kind of feel like would be awesome in a live setting. And then we grew into this 5-piece like alternative pop, like just multi-genre rock band. Was that the vision from the beginning?
So yes and no. We were always open to having a singer in the group. We didn't plan like, okay, by this year we'll have a singer in the group and we'll be doing this with the singer in the group by this point in time. Kevin, our drummer, had asked us if we were interested in working with the singer. We said yes, not knowing what to expect. And then we worked with him. It was me, Eric, he's the other guitar player in the band, Kevin, and the singer. So it's just us for not that long, but probably like 3 or 4 practices. And then the bass player came one time as well to play with us. And then once we had her in the group, we knew we were locked in tight. Had a really good thing going.
Now, what I love about your band right now is that this album that you just put out, the first one with the singer and the new bass player, this album, it really does hit on a bunch of different notes when it comes to genre. There's like real cool funk stuff, there's real more poppy anthemic stuff, and then there's more like, you know, alternative stuff. This to me feels like the direction that bands are going in, you know what I mean, overall. Like there's it's not just like, oh, we're a rock band anymore. Like that kind of stuff is it seems like a dying breed. When it comes to that type of songwriting, does that mean that all of these songs are coming from a different place and different people and have a different process? Or are these songs kind of written the same way, but it's just different shades of the same, like different genres of the same starting point? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when we write, we never. I can't speak for everyone else in the group, but for myself, and at least when I'm with everyone else, we don't sit down and say, okay, now we have to write a funk song, so we're going to do this. Or now we have to do a rock song, so it's going to sound like this, and we're not going to do this. We just kind of let the song dictate what we were going to do in the song. And we like a lot of different genres of music, so it didn't make sense to make it all like an all country album or an all hard rock album. We kind of just let the songs do what they were going to do. Some of the songs were inspired loosely by a few songs from our first album, genre-wise. So we did that with Venom. The melody is taken from a song called Smokey from our first EP, just the beginning of the song. And there's another song, we never recorded it, but there was another song we used to play live in the trio that ended up turning into I Feel Free. So we sort of utilized that a bit.
So there is like kind of an evolution between the two. Now, first of all, the first EP, y'all, is City Limits, and I really love that setup. Are you guys still, like, do you ever once in a while kind of go back to that old stuff? Like, even as a 5-piece, do you guys kind of jam on that stuff at all, or is that just in the past now, gone?
No, it's not in the past, gone. We've jammed with it before. We'll eventually do another instrumental album. It won't be soon, but we're probably going to do that. I'm probably going to release 2 albums, but I'm going to release an EP of just instrumental music, which will be partly from what I wrote with Eric, which will be under half an hour. And then if that goes somewhat smoothly, I'll do another one with singing. Because I just, not every day, but every month, I'm just adding more and more songs that the band never uses. And there's just the styles getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, not full songs that are ready to go, but just ideas of songs, maybe 2 parts to a song, that kind of thing. So we might incorporate more instrumental music. We're thinking of putting this isn't set in stone, but we might put like 1 instrumental song on an album or 2 instrumental songs, or like a connected instrumental type song where it's like 45 seconds between 2 songs. So we're still definitely open up to the idea.
Of like interludes and stuff. Yeah, that seems to be something that also bands that are more in the industry opt for with regards to like the algorithm and how it works. Like they'll be releasing a single and then they'll turn the single into an EP with the addition of maybe 1 or 2 songs and then a couple interludes, you know, and then the album is just a couple more songs and a couple more interludes. So this is something that is also like on the trend for bands now. But let's get into our first tune here. This is the second tune on the self-titled record. This tune is called Kings and Queens. Check it out.
See what I'm saying? I feel it mean and clean up like a Dyson. Blast ya, I throw your ass in the pasture, throw you in the grass, throw you up and pass ya. Feeling like a fighter jet, cashing in on all my bets like it's going our way and we ain't even lucky yet. crown. Everybody get on your feet. It's about to get loud. And make way for the king of the hood. Damn, he's dancing, he's loving, he's singing, just like he should.
Awesome. That tune was called Kings and Queens. Really funky tune. And the Bandcamp is coldweathercaptains.bandcamp.com. You can also go to coldweathercaptains.com and see the other streaming services, YouTube, and stuff like that. All right, Brad, while I have you here, why this record? Why did we self-title this record?
So we were, our singer wanted to go with this ridiculous name, and we were all like, "Oh no, this can't be gonna do." The main reason we wanted it self-titled is because it was a reinvention of the band. Mm-hmm. So we were adding a bass singer. So it's, in a way, it's our first album because it is our first album with that lineup. So that was the main reason behind it. We just thought it made the most sense.
Yeah.
To do it that way.
Now, what's your favorite song on this record?
Ooh. I'm probably gonna say Line of Fire.
Ooh, okay. And that's like kind of the where we get more. Well, why?
Because it felt like it wasn't. It's a bit of a longer song. It's not super long. It's under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it just had a lot of time to breathe, kind of at the, like, after the solo and the interlude part. It felt like it just went as long as it wanted to go, and it still has a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. The rhythm intro is really weird to play because it sounds like the rhythm's tripping on itself because it's like da 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 da. And I think it was one of the first songs that we wrote with the new members in the same group. One of the first songs we did together.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it also kind of captures the initial excitement of that time where it's like, oh wow, yeah. You know, the horizons have broadened with the addition of the new folks. I really love Smooth Talker too. Like those two kind of back to back are, to me, like they're the dark horse of this record because it ends on a really cool note. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, because I know from my personal experience, there's always at least one song that ends up being like the biggest pain in the ass just to finalize or mix or master or track or to get it to sound right. Which song on this record was that pain in the ass?
So we were on another podcast, which is called Your Worst Song, and it's Smooth Talker. It's not smooth. So it's funny that you said it was one of the songs you liked. It's not because we don't like the song. That's the wrong version of the song. The one that was on the album, we sped part of it up. We chopped part of the song and added another, like shortened a whole part. So it's not the way we play that song live. It's not a completely different song, but it's like missing a whole part. I think like half the solo was skipped, and the demo version of that song is way better. We might end up putting the demo version onto another album, but that one was the biggest pain in the ass to do in the studio. Live, it's not bad because it's a lot of back and forth with the singer and then like a little guitar riff when the singer's not singing something. So you can kind of like play with that and get a vibe with it. Mm-hmm. But it was really rocky to record. It was just a weird song. The whole song only has 3 chords. And it's a lot of like stop back to the chord and then using the other chord, but you're only really bouncing back between 3, which is, I mean, until the end. So yeah, it was definitely that song.
Now, is there anything like about this album and this recording process. Like, well, what was kind of like the biggest thing you learned from this record?
Biggest thing? That's a good question. It's a really good question. Biggest thing we learned. I guess one of them is that you always have a little less time than you think you have, or it always takes longer than you think it's going to take. Now we went into it knowing it was going to take a decent amount of time because we done one album previous, which we did in like a professional studio. But this time it was the first time that us plus the singer and the bass player had worked together at the same time. So the songs were all done live. We would get like the best version that we could live. We would do the song like, I don't remember how many times we did each song, but we would do the song probably 5 to 10 times.
Oh, wow.
With headphones into a click. And then after that, we would still have some overdubs. But we wanted to capture as much of the live feel as we possibly could. So that was really a main thing, yeah.
And you guys are obviously based in Toronto. What could you tell us about? And I was just in Toronto a few months ago, and I was trying to get a feel for the atmosphere there. But what could you share with us about the Toronto music scene that we could, maybe get a better sense of it?
Better sense. I don't know how it compares to other scenes in other major cities. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of open mics around, which is good. It's probably the best way for meeting people because you're actually seeing them. You're seeing them play. You can talk to them. There's been a lot of stuff that's gone online onto Facebook. I feel like Craigslist is dying out, and there's a Toronto Musicians Network, which is way faster. When you get updates, you can see 10 updates and you have a better idea of what people are looking for. But playing band wise, it's probably not. It's usually when we play, it's usually 3 bands, and then we're of course one of the bands, and then it's each band is 45 minutes, and then the last band has an hour, or the 2 first bands have half an hour, and then the main band has 45 minutes, or it's something like that. Trying to think of what would be unique about Toronto. So once you start to meet a lot of different people, there still is a sense of everyone kind of knowing everyone, even though it's a city of 3 million people. Mm-hmm. Like, there'll definitely be a sense of like, oh, I know this person in this band, and then you meet someone, oh, I know this person in that band. But as big as it is, it's another thing that can also be considered not as good about it, because if you're in a city like Seattle, you could know a lot of bands and go out to see bands, but there's just such a high saturation of bands playing. You can meet a band and then they'll want you to go to the next show with them, and then you can't even remember because there's like 10 other bands playing the next night, and so it's kind of hard to get into like a group of it. Yeah. I've heard in BC, it's like there's like cliquey bands where like they only want to talk to them and they don't want to talk to other bands. I think in Toronto it's more of like a Venn diagram of like this band knows this people and they know that people, and everyone still interacts. So I don't know what it's like in Philly, for example, but yeah, that's what it's like here.
Something that I did notice about Toronto and a little bit in Canada in general when we were there on our last run was Toronto was more, I don't know if uptight is the right word, but they were more serious about their policies, and they were also very interested in making money and the venues, and it kind of was like that when we were there before COVID and the pandemic, but even now it sort of felt like there was something in the air where it was just not as cool of a place versus a place kind of like even Ottawa was a little bit more relaxed or something like that. Do you feel like Toronto is trying to, capitalize on the music scene, or do they really do stuff to support the music scene?
I think that varies a little bit from like venue to venue. So there's definitely some venues that are I won't say which ones, but there are some that are more like, we have to make money, you have to do this.
Yeah.
And then there's other venues where they're not as hyped up in that, and it's not all about that. We were even going to do a show in January, but they had put all this pressure on us. You have to bring out this amount of people, and it has to make like this much money if you're going to do it. And we're like, you know what? Like, no one might come out. It could be a huge snowstorm. So we ended up passing on it. So you're not wrong. There are some places that are like that, but I don't think every venue in Toronto everywhere is like that all the time. And it probably depends a bit on like the kinds of bands and where you're playing and those kinds of things too. If it's a band that's playing like maybe a cover band that plays all night, or a band that's doing like 3 45-minute sets, it's probably less uptight, because they usually, that's what we used to do in our band when we were just playing at a cocktail place. We just played for like 3 45-minute sets, and it was a pretty loose feel. But when you get into playing with venues and they're like, you know, did you get this many people? How much money did you make? How many people do you think are going to show up? Like, once you get into like constantly thinking about the numbers, I can see how people can get uptight. Yeah. But that's an interesting observation. Mm-hmm. I haven't even thought about it that way, but that's not wrong. Yeah.
I guess my last question with that is, do you feel like you guys are fulfilled enough with playing in the Toronto area, or do you feel like you guys are more stoked to play outside of the Toronto area?
We're definitely more stoked to play outside of Toronto. We haven't done that yet, but we're planning on doing it. Like, we'll probably start by playing in like Hamilton or Barrie, or just somewhere a little outside before going way outside. But yeah, it's I love playing in Toronto. There's a lot of different places you can play, but we're especially more interested in playing outside of Toronto, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And like when you guys were, I guess, first starting versus where you guys are now as a band, has the Toronto scene changed a whole hell of a lot, or is it kind of still where it was?
Like, I think a lot of people, this probably happened where you are, but a lot of people right after COVID, there were so many bands going out to play that when we were applying for festivals, it was hard to get in, because a lot of bands were just amped to get out and play. They really wanted to get out. So it was hard to even get in for like a booking for them, just because I think there was twice the amount going. I haven't noticed a huge difference. I mean, this is going back to 2008 when I was playing with the band. The singer said he didn't want to play rock music anymore, because he said in Toronto it would just be people with their arms crossed, like standing in the crowd, just looking pissed off. That was like the scene. So it's like, well, what's the point in playing if you're just going to see people like that everywhere? Now, he didn't play outside of Toronto, but I thought that was really funny, because it was kind of like that for a while. Like, it was like more uptight than what you were saying.
Hilarious.
But so in Toronto, it does vary from venue to venue.
Okay.
You know, some places are a little bit more relaxed. Some places are definitely more uptight. I don't like it when places are uptight. I definitely know what you're talking about when you say that.
You just got to talk to the right people and get the right bands, and, you know, really, really try to get lucky in Toronto. On that note, let's get into another tune here. This is the 4th tune on the self-titled record. This tune is called Royal Purple. Check it out.
Being who you are is just the greatest situation.
All right, that tune was called Royal Purple, and we are getting a look at the debut, sort of, self-titled record from Cold Weather Captains, at least Cold Weather Captains 2.0, right? The second evolution. Now, I want to get into some more broader questions here. You've been in the music scene for a while. What do you feel like as an artist right now? What is the biggest challenge that you face with maintaining that creative and artistic identity?
Do you mean like producing or writing more music, or do you just mean like having an identity with the band that's like original?
Kind of both. Like, what do you feel like as an artist? Like, what do you feel like your biggest challenge is from day to day or week to week or month to month? Like, with the band, but also just with you having a creative identity.
So the biggest challenge I face isn't coming up with material. The thing that I'm not that great at doing, and I've gotten a little bit better at doing this, is organizing all the ideas that I have. So I use voice memos, which a lot of people use. I just figured out recently that you can edit voice memos into categories. So if you have not 30 songs, but if you have 30 song ideas, you can just move them to different genres, and then they're a lot easier to find.
Wow.
So that's handy. I just started doing that.
Life hack.
The two biggest challenges we have as a band, getting along is key. It's not always a challenge, but it happens. All meeting up at the same place. We don't all live in the same area. The two of us are in Toronto. One person's like pretty far outside of the city. He's like 45 minutes. One person's in Etobicoke, which is a suburb, not a suburb, it's part of Toronto, but it's like the west part of Toronto. And then another person's on the border of Mississauga and Oakville. So it can be hard for all 5 people to meet up. And then artistically, is one of the biggest challenges the band has is it's sort of standing out in the sense of like there's so many with Spotify and streaming and everything. There's so many bands that are putting albums out now that it's becoming really saturated. Like there's just so much out there. So it's trying to like maintaining your presence is difficult. And then obviously you have to update social media with stories of whatever you're doing. And that's never ending. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that can be really not fun. My follow-up question to that was to get to the artist that you are at this point, what do you feel like is one of or the biggest challenge you overcame to become the artist you are today?
So one of the biggest challenges was working with the new people in the group, which wasn't a bad thing, but I had to, I don't want to say rewrite songs, but I was used to leaving spaces for guitar melodies, which I couldn't do because I had to leave space for the singer to come up with the parts. So the initial process was kind of rocky because we didn't know, like I thought when it started with the singer, it was going to be like half instrumental, half singing, or like long pauses between songs, which we didn't do. I'm glad we didn't do that, but I didn't know. So it was figuring all of that out through that process, and figuring out how to write with 5, because there was 4 songwriters in the group, so it can get pretty hectic when you have 4 people writing one song together at one time. And no one's wrong, but usually what we do is if one person has an idea, we'll try doing that idea even if we don't think it's good, and then after that we'll work out, and then if someone has a better idea, we'll try doing that. So one song can go through like 5 different versions, or it can end up being rewritten later. So that's a common thing. So
yeah, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge with every band, because the band dynamic is so interesting, and when I hear even like really popular bands talk about it, it's like a lot of times for artists and musicians and band people, like, the band is usually the constant in most people's lives. Like, the band is there when new relationships form and come and go, and jobs come and go, and living situations come and go. But a lot of the time for some bands, it's like the band makes it through all of that. So the band has to like pretty much go to like therapy and learn how to communicate with one another to keep that dynamic alive. Did you guys have like a process like that too for songwriting?
There wasn't too much fighting in the band over songwriting. There was disagreeing,
right?
But it didn't feel like a constant fight.
Yeah, or unhealthy or anything like that.
No, not for the songwriting aspect. I wouldn't say no. There's times where you need like a break. Sometimes not having a band practice for a week just to get that extra break can be a good thing, and then you have fresh ideas when you come together. So yeah.
All right, Brad, my last question for you is, in the very beginning we talked a little bit about the vision for Cold Weather Captains. Now, let's talk about the vision for you right now as an artist. What do you feel like, if you have like a vision for your final form as an artist, and what is your vision for 2025 as an artist?
So, well, for 2025, we're definitely going to have an EP out. So it'll be our second album with the new lineup. The songs are going to be a little bit more refined than the songs on the second album, but there'll still be a bit of space for guitar solos. It won't be none. I'm going to be putting out an EP sometime that year, which will sound more like our first EP. It's going to be instrumental. So that's going to be definitely a process to learn through. I think most of the songs are already written. And one of the main things I've noticed is just sort of keeping... I'm the type of person where I do best with either most of the week or sort of daily habits. So I won't necessarily pick up guitar every day and try to write something, but I'll usually have like days where I'm just playing and messing around. So I'm always keeping the ideas fresh. One thing that I do, not all the time, but part of the time, is I'll just play guitar in low volume and watch Netflix. And if it's something that gives me this really big mood, whether it's something sad or intense or something, I'll kind of play. And then if I've got something that's interesting, I'll record. Yeah.
So you kind of add your own scoring a little bit?
Sort of. Sort of, yeah. It's helped me come up with some licks. And it's funny because I remember there was this like one intense lick, and I remember like an intense movie I was watching, and when I play the lick, I think about that. So it's kind of like drawing from experiences, not experiences that I'm having, but experiences that are happening in the show, and trying to draw something out of that. Yeah, it's a weird way to write. It sounds like a really lazy way to write, but it's worked well for me so far.
It's an experiment. And hey, maybe scoring film is going to be a part of your final form as an artist.
We'll see.
We'll see. And with that, y'all, that is the end of the 2024 Part-Time Artist Podcast. Our one last show is going to be on New Year's Eve. It's going to be a radio show. It's going to be live on YouTube. But thank you guys so much for this year of podcasting, for tuning in, for supporting local music, and checking out rad artists from all over the place. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and really keeping music important because we all have to do that. It's a very intentional process, I feel, for all of us to keep music as a priority, as a serious art form. So thank you guys for broadening your horizons with me and listening to new people. This last tune is the first tune of the debut self-titled Cold Weather Captains 2.0 album. This tune is called Venom. Rip on, everybody. Stay creative.